Well, welcome. I'm hoping I've got some people out there. Thanks for joining us tonight on the webinar for intellectual property, our postgraduate courses in that space. You can see that there's a poll up there for those of you who have just joined us, and we're waiting for some more people to join us. So if you could please participate in that poll, that'd be great. And then we'll get started. Okay, so we've got roughly a third of you are practicing solicitors or barristers, and 2/3 of you are not. So that gives me an indication as to the type of courses that you might be wanting to do in the IP postgraduate framework. And feel free, we have a Q&A section, of course, to this presentation. If you have questions there. If they're more of an administrative process question, then we have our fantastic team led by Yanni, who'll be out there answering questions along with Ness and possibly Julie and Michaela. Okay. So, all right, I think we've got a fairly stable number now. We've got about 9 of you participating so far. So I might get the ball rolling. And I'm hoping it's working. So as a beginning of any event that we have at UTS, we acknowledge the country that UTS is on, and in particular we acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and it's on their ancestral lands that the city campus actually now stands. And of course we would like to pay respects to their elders, both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional custodians of knowledge for this land, and recognising that it is apt that a university is on country, and that we recognise the knowledge that these elders have and how it is a learning place as well, and has always been a learning place. So, which leads us into what are we here for? We're here for a question of what is the intellectual property program here? And this is me. I'm Professor Natalie Stoianoff, the director of the program. I've been at UTS now for 12 years. Before that, I was an academic at Wollongong University, where I was teaching both intellectual property and taxation law. And before that, I was a legal practitioner, practicing predominantly in the commercialisation of intellectual property. I still do practice in that space, but to a much lesser degree. But I spend more of my time researching in the space of intellectual property, its commercialisation and its protection. And in particular, my more recent project, which is an Australian Research Council project, and is a linkage project with a number of Aboriginal communities around Australia, is focusing on this whole question of traditional knowledge and how intellectual property interacts with the process of trying to protect traditional knowledge of Aboriginal people in Australia. So that's where I'm sort of coming from with my own research. But you'll find out that when we go through this presentation, there are a number of other academics at UTS who are teachers within the program, but also have other areas of interest in the IP space and beyond. Now, just so that you're aware, this seminar is being recorded, so please be aware of that. And you can see the rules there for this process if you're concerned about it, and if you do not wish to be involved. You have obviously opportunities to have a discussion with the Faculty of Law about this. If you have any questions, please direct them, as you can see there, to law@uts.edu.au. Okay, so I should share the results with you all of the poll. I'm not sure if it's working. I hit share results, we'll see what happens. It's still thinking on my computer. I might just move on to the next slide. So as I said, if you have any questions, go to the Q&A section there and post your questions there. Alrighty. So, why study intellectual property at UTS? Well, for one thing, we are probably the largest cohort of academics in this country that are specialising in intellectual property. We have a vast range of experience of several decades of intellectual property teaching and research and practice. And it's across the whole variety or whole gamut of areas of intellectual property, from trademarks, copyright, designs, patents, of course. We have a vast experience in this space. And as I said, we are the largest cohort of teachers and researchers in the country, and in both Australia and New Zealand, in fact, for intellectual property. Obviously, we have got accreditations with the relevant organisations. In particular instance, it's the Trans-Tasman Intellectual Property Attorneys Board, which regulates how patent and trademark attorneys are registered across Australia and New Zealand. And our courses that are relevant for that purpose are accredited by the Trans-Tasman IP Attorneys Board. And we were the first to obtain full registration of all the subjects necessary for registration as a patent and trademark attorney. Our programs are entirely online, so you can do the whole course, whether it's a master's, whether it's a graduate diploma, whether it's a graduate certificate, is totally available online 100%. So as a result, we provide lots of flexibility. And the reason why we do that is because we have so many students who are not just from Sydney, which is where we're housed, of course, but so many students are from right across the country, and New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia, China, the USA, Europe, the UK, and I think we even have some students in Africa and India. So it's very difficult to actually have classes in this. We have to be flexible in the way we deliver our courses, and that's why the online platform is the best way to do so. Here's my team of exceptional IP researchers and teachers. Jane Rawlings is in charge of the trademark and copyright side of the Master of Intellectual Property and other subjects necessary in the courses that we have. She is a barrister of long-standing expertise in intellectual property rights, and also in privacy as well, and confidentiality, and brings to the whole teaching of trademarks and copyright an amazing enthusiasm and experience as a practitioner, as well as being academic in nature. And she has her own team of practitioners that assist her with those courses and give an extra breadth and depth to the way these subjects are taught. And then we have Ivana Wright, who is the key person teaching our patent law subject. And she comes from basically a tech IT background, having been in-house counsel for a number of high-tech companies, both in Australia and the United States, and brings to that process, of course, a wealth of experience, and therefore that translates into the way she teaches patent law. But in addition to that, she has worked closely with me on the work that relates to Indigenous knowledge and its protection. Genevieve Wilkinson has been a barrister and is still a barrister. She has been practicing in IP for many years herself. Her focus has been predominantly on the designs law subjects and trademarks law, and comes with, of course, experience as well as academic prowess. She has worked with me as well, particularly on the areas of trademark law and counterfeit products. And her PhD has been related to the human rights aspects associated with trademark law. Ivana's PhD is in relation to patent law and intellectual property rights pertaining to traditional knowledge. Mariam Tabari has quite an extraordinary experience behind her. She's a registered patent attorney. She's a principal of one of the boutique firms in Sydney, and has been in the past working for some of the major IP firms around Australia, and was in fact for quite a number of years the patent commercialisation attorney for UTS. And now she's a teacher with us and runs the patent practice subjects for us. So she comes to us with a lot of experience, and around her is also a team of well-experienced patent attorneys that assist in the teaching of those patent practice subjects. So, do you want to become a patent or trademark attorney or something else? And so we've got a poll there that some of you already started to participate in. Are you, or no, actually we should be going on to the next poll at this point in time. Your career status. Where is that? Sorry, my system doesn't seem to be responding to these polls for some strange reason. I don't know why. And the Zoom meetings are not responding that way, but let's see what happens. Okay. I'm just wanting to check, can everyone hear me? Okay. Hello. Okay, thank you.
You're all good, Natalie.
Oh, good, thank you. Because I seem to be freezing up here for some strange reason. I don't know why. Okay. Do we have the second poll going through or not?
Yes, all the polls have gone through now.
Oh, okay, thank you. Because I can't seem to see them for some strange reason. I don't know why. Anyway, so let me continue on. So becoming a patent or trademark attorney has special regulations. Now they're set up by the Trans-Tasman Intellectual Property Attorneys Board, and we need to be mindful of that when it comes to the subjects that you need to take. So if you're actually interested in working in this basis, then you need to be able to follow the right subjects. I'm hoping, okay. That seems to have gone to the wrong one. So in taking these subjects will grant you the opportunity to actually practice in both Australia and New Zealand. You don't have to do anything further in either country if you're coming from one or the other. So if you undertake the relevant subjects that we have here, which are accredited, once you've completed those, they will be relevant for practice in either New Zealand or in Australia. And then you simply have to submit all that when you're going for your application to have yourself registered as a patent or trademark attorney under the Trans-Tasman Attorneys Board. So what are the different courses that we have available? Well, those courses happen to be 4 courses. The top one, of course, is the flagship is the Master of Intellectual Property. And that has 8 subjects in total. And those 8 subjects enable you to complete every single subject that is necessary to become a patent or trademark attorney. Now, the courses in the program are more than just the 8 subjects that are necessary for patent and trademark attorneys. So we do have a variety of other sort of what I would call elective subjects that you can take, so that those of you who are, for example, only wanting to be a trademark attorney and not go down the pathway of being a patent attorney, have the opportunity to still do a Masters of Intellectual Property, take the 4 necessary subjects for being a trademark attorney, and then you have space for 4 additional subjects where you could expand your horizons in the IP space. You might want to take some subjects in the patent field, or you might not want to do so, but then you have the opportunity to take subjects in, for example, copyright law, global aspects of intellectual property, human rights and intellectual property, etc. Then we have the Graduate Diploma of Intellectual Property and the Graduate Certificate in Intellectual Property. Those 2 are very specifically designed for those students who perhaps have actually completed some of these necessary subjects elsewhere and need to finish off their course but have not been able to finish off their course in their previous institution. Or, for example, they happen to be attorneys in a different jurisdiction. So they could be an attorney from Europe, or they could be an attorney from South Africa. And they've come to Australia, they've migrated to Australia. They want to continue their practice as a patent attorney. And the TTIPAB has told them, you need to complete the following subjects. Obviously, they've accepted certain subjects and they won't need to do the full 8 subjects to become registered in Australia. And so this gives us an opportunity under the Grad Dip and the Grad Cert for students to take up maybe only 4 subjects that might be required by the board, or 8 or 6 subjects in order to complete the necessary requirements for registration as a trademark attorney, a patent attorney rather. The last one, the Graduate Certificate of Trademark Law and Practice, is specifically designed for being a trademark attorney. It is possible to take a number of different 4th subjects rather in there, because it's a 4-course subject, with 3 of them being core and 1 being an option. In the past, what tended to be chosen more often than not was something like the commercialization of intellectual property, or designs law and intellectual property, and sometimes global aspects of intellectual property, as means of trying to round out the experience. And others would also take copyright as well. What's interesting to note is that if you take designs law as your 4th option, your option number 1, 4th subject, that should also then give you the opportunity to practice in designs law under the TTIPAB. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your subjects, if you happen to be doing the Graduate Certificate in Trademark Law and Practice. Okay, now I did mention at the beginning that we are an online course. This means literally that we are everything online. So we don't really have regular lectures like you would have in other subjects. We have a whole different platform in the way we present our material. So it enables us to have a material presented in such a way that is much more engaging and enables students to interact with each other. So we have different discussion boards and opportunities for group activities. We also have various quizzes that are throughout the courses. We have short videos. We enable students to make their own videos and other ways of presenting their material. For example, in one of my subjects, I have the opportunity for students to do a research project. And part of their process of a research project is to set up a presentation of the progress of their work. And in that presentation, they have about maximum of 5 slides in which to present certain aspects that are predetermined. And in so doing, they have to upload that at the beginning of the week. And then by the end of the week, every other student has had a chance to look at each other's and make comments on it. And so everyone is constantly learning from each other. So it becomes a very engaging platform for students to do that. And that's been made very easy by having our Canvas platform in order to achieve this. But also, we do make use of Zoom as well, as most of you would have experienced in the past year with COVID-19, universities have had to go to online classes. We still do have classes to a limited extent, but they're much more engaging. They're not so much simply delivery of material. That is for the online process. Our purpose for the online Zoom classes is more to do workshopping through questions and answers and revisiting certain areas of material that might be a bit tricky, having an opportunity for the students to engage with the teachers and the teachers to explain things further, and also to engage where students are with their courses and how they're travelling. So this table provides us with the full range of subjects that we have in those that actually are required for registration. There are others that we unfortunately don't have on this particular slide that I mentioned earlier, such as global aspects of intellectual property, commercialization, copyright law, etc. But these are the main subjects that you need to be aware of if you're planning to be a patent or trademark attorney. So you can see the first column tells you how the Trans-Tasman IP Board has described the different topic areas. And then you can see how our accredited subjects mirror those ones. And the most important thing to keep in mind is for those of you who have not got a law degree and are entering into these master's courses, these postgraduate courses, and are planning to become patent and trademark attorneys, preparing for intellectual property practice is a subject which encompasses 3 elements. As you can see here, it covers off on the topic which is legal process, on the topic which is the overview of intellectual property, and of course, probably the most important topic for practitioners, the professional conduct section. Now, roughly speaking, professional conduct is around about 50% of that subject, and the other 50% is made up of the legal process and overview of intellectual property and commercialization, etc. Now, what's important to note about this is that students who are coming from a science background, this gives you an opportunity to understand what it's all about. Okay, so it gives you an intro to being a practitioner in this space, what it is you're being a practitioner about. And for those of you who are already lawyers and planning to come and upskill your work and specialize in the IP space, it still is important for you to do that if, for example, you never took an IP subject in your undergraduate law degree, and you haven't practiced. If you've practiced as a solicitor, then you don't need to actually undertake the professional conduct part of the course because you would have already done necessary learning in that space. And if you've got a law degree and an overview subject of IP within the past 6 years, then again, you are able to get prior learning accredited for preparing for intellectual property practice in those circumstances. But if you're missing any one of those elements, then the difficulty is you're going to have to still do 77905, preparing for intellectual property practice. So I just wanted to clarify that, because that tends to be a bit of a sticking point for some students who don't really know where they fit in and how to actually deal with that particular intro subject. So then come, and that is the cornerstone subject that you need to start off with, because it then sets the scene for how you will undertake the rest of those subjects. Trademarks law, trademarks practice, patent law, patent systems, drafting and interpretation. Those two subjects are very highly technical subjects taught by a team of patent attorneys, and they're not easy subjects, they are difficult subjects. But for those who put the effort in, the work in, and we have lots of practice mechanisms through which students can actually engage with the material and keep learning as they're going through, you can get through those subjects. So I would say to you that those who've got a science background will probably or engineering background will most likely want to go down the pathway of being a patent attorney. Those who do not have a science or engineering background will not be able to register as patent attorneys. So I just want to make that clear right up front. You have to have a technical degree behind you before the TTIPAB will consider you for a patent attorney. That doesn't prevent you from being a trademark attorney or a design attorney, but it does prevent you from being a patent attorney if you do not have any technical background. So just be aware of that. Oops, went too far again. So once you've made your decisions as to which subjects you're going to take, and whether you're going to become, which course you're going to take, in fact, whether you're going to become a patent attorney, trademark attorney, or you're going to simply decide that you want to enhance your current career, you might be working in-house in a corporation that has a whole portfolio of intellectual property, and you could be managing that portfolio, in which case you might need to be aware of other areas such as copyright law, and undertake the subjects that relate to that, and undertake issues relating to commercialization, for example, if you're more of a business-oriented student rather than planning to be a patent and trademark attorney or a practitioner in either of those areas as a solicitor. So what resources do we have available? Well, there are a number of resources. The most important person you will need to get to know, other than your teachers and myself in the postgraduate courses, is Tracy Booth. She is the Director of Students, and she's responsible for coordinating and facilitating the coursework student administrative matters. So if you have problems with administration, if you have other personal difficulties that are hindering your progress, etc., she is the person that you can speak to and ask for advice, and she'll assist as best she can. And she's got years of experience and will know the rules inside out and be able to assist in that respect as well. For those who are having difficulty with language and presentation, we have, as you can see here, UTS Helps, which provides assistance with this whole process, and so you can get further training and assistance and support with UTS Helps in that respect. And of course, we have the Career Services, which is a free service and assists students with developing their skills and knowledge and confidence in how to go about developing and succeeding in their career. So the Faculty of Law is located at UTS Central, and it's a beautiful new building, which unfortunately we haven't been able to make use of to the degree that we would like to take use of as a result of COVID-19. But please, if you've got a chance, go by, and the library's in the same building, which is a great help to us as well. But having said that, I have to reiterate, we are online this course of ours. Our postgraduate IP courses are all online, and access to almost all the material that we have is totally online as well. I mean, we do occasionally have subjects that might suggest books that you want to get, but more often than not, those books are also able to be obtained as ebooks as well, and perhaps even borrowed as ebooks too. Just keep those things in mind. We have moot and trial courts, research collaborative spaces. Not that we have an actual moot within the course itself, but there is an intellectual property mooting competition that takes place at Oxford every year. And we have opportunities for students who are interested to actually apply to be part of that team. Of course, the UTS library has reading rooms, and we've got lots of collaborative theatres, large theatres, student learning spaces for those of you who need to be in a physical space and meet with your fellow students who happen to be in Sydney. And of course, there's food courts and other informal spaces, etc. So we have still the usual physical spaces that any university has, and we really have some very, very nice physical spaces for the law faculty. Now, when it comes to fees, this is purely as a guide at this point in time, but I think the ladies who are assisting with this presentation will be able to give you some more information via the Q&A session. You can see here the 2021, the fee per session for domestic students in the MIP is around about 20,950, and for international students is just a little bit more. Each of those subjects that we undertake in the MIP are 6 credit points. And so the fees are charged on a credit point basis. Fee help is available for this course. So I recommend you contact, of course, the fee help group to find out whether you're eligible for that. And if you happen to be a UTS alumni, then you will also receive a 10% fee saving on your overall fees. I should also mention, if you wanted to practice law as well, we do have joint degrees, or combined degrees rather. So there is the opportunity for those who are postgraduate to do a Juris Doctor and a graduate certificate in trademark law and practice in record time. Alternatively, you could do the Juris Doctor and the Master of Intellectual Property, again in record time. And the way it works is that you would be substituting your elective subjects in the Juris Doctors with some of the IP subjects that are under the Certificate of Trademark Law and Practice or under the Master of Intellectual Property. And that allows you to save time in completing both degrees and having the benefit then of being also a legal practitioner in the end of that, as well as an IP practitioner as a patent or trademark attorney. And I believe there is a webinar for the Juris Doctor coming up as well. Oops. So our applications, I think, are closing, where is it? The 7th of February for domestic students. And you can see there when the autumn session starts on the 22nd of February, spring session starts on the 2nd of August. And that's for, these are each of the 4 courses that you could be applying for to undertake in the IP space. Okay, so I think we've reached the stage where we can have some questions, Q&A. Please put them through, and welcome. And I hope that we see a few of you this coming year. Thank you very much for listening. So you can connect with us on any of those platforms. How are we going with questions?
Natalie, we have a couple of questions that have come through.
Right.
One of those is from Yoon. Yoon would like to know, upon or immediately after IP courses completion at UTS, can someone register and work as an IP agent, or is there an additional step to take after that? Okay.
When it comes to trademark practice, my understanding is that there isn't a further step that is adequate. For being a patent attorney, it's a different story. For being a patent attorney, you need to satisfy certain requirements of practice, and practice under the supervision of an already registered attorney. So generally speaking, I think it's a 2-year period that you have to have been practicing under the tutelage of a practicing patent attorney. So quite often what happens is the students that tend to take these courses with us have got a position as what they call a technical assistant or an associate with one of the firms, and they're being trained a bit like an apprenticeship with a registered attorney. And over a 2-year period, once they've completed that and completed the actual subjects under the MIP, then they can go and apply to become a registered patent attorney.
Great. And Jared has asked another question. Will there be a thesis as part of any of the courses, and is there an advisor?
There are various subjects that have the opportunity to write research essays. There is an opportunity to take a subject, which is a thesis. So it's a full semester subject, which is a thesis, but they're not required for the actual subjects that are necessary for registration as a patent and trademark attorney. So the ones that I had in the first, I wonder if we can go back to that. Let me just go back. This one here. Can everyone see this page? It's page 12. These are the subjects from 77905 through to 77893 that are necessary to become a patent attorney. Now, there are in some of these subjects opportunities to do a research essay, but they're not full theses. There is an opportunity if you decide not to become a patent attorney, but to expand into other areas, to take an elective which is the thesis subject. So I hope that makes sense.
Great, thank you so much. There was just another question about whether electives are open if you are doing other courses. So if you're not enrolled in a Masters of IP or any of the graduate certificates or diplomas, are some of these subjects available in other postgraduate law courses at UTS?
Yes, they are. Under the JD program, students are able to take most of the IP subjects that we have available in the Masters.
Another question has come through about whether there is any support in securing an internship or a traineeship as part of the course.
No, we don't actually provide that particular service, but what we do tend to have occur on a fairly regular basis is that, for example, those firms that are actually seeking some trainees will actually come to us and we'll advertise on our Canvas subjects if there are positions that are available. But we don't actually have a program that does that. I can see there's a question here. Is there, what was it, an opportunity to, I've forgotten what it was, I missed it. No, it's gone, it's disappeared.
It doesn't look like we're going to have any more questions, Natalie. No,
there was one that I just saw and it disappeared. Sorry, I didn't get to it quickly enough. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, then we look forward to seeing some of you at least interested in undertaking one of these courses. And I think that if you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can email me directly or email the university first, then they'll pass on those questions to me. Intellectual property is such a dynamic field. It is constantly changing, constantly evolving. and it is an area which is significant not just for those people working in the space of doing inventions, etc., but also anyone in any business has to really take into account their intellectual property assets, and that's a crucial element to the success of any business nowadays, and particularly so when it comes to international trade. So the whole question of intellectual property rights has become a very important element of even international trade deals and bilateral agreements between nations. So it's a dynamic area. It's a very important area. It's an important area from a business perspective. It's an important area from a creative perspective. So hopefully those of you that are undertaking this will enjoy it and develop some very, very interesting careers out of it. So thank you for your time.